Alrighty, everybody. Breaking news. The Texas Longhorns and Oklahoma Sooners are looking to join the SEC conference. They are expected to notify the Big 12 that they are not intending to renew their rights with the Big 12 for 2025. Now, I'll get into that a little bit, how they could leave before 2025, but that's in a minute. What we're going to talk about right now are all the smoke that's going on, essentially, with this. So, Brent Zwerneman broke a story earlier today about Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC. There could be, quote, there could be an announcement within the next 2 weeks making this a 16-team conference. I do have a couple questions about what that would look like for 2021 and 2022. But like before, we'll get into that in just a minute. And Pete Thamel, analysis of Texas and Oklahoma's potential move to the SEC. Sources indicate there's a lot of serious momentum, not a lot of meaningful SEC resistance. Sorry, A&M. And potential financial boon down the road. OU and Texas are tied on this, tightly. Now, the sorry A&M part. Let me just go ahead and get this out of the way. Aggie fans are losing their damn minds. They are. I had my friend earlier saying that Texas was like a crazy ex-girlfriend trying to chase A&M. Well, sorry, dude. I mean, yeah, y'all are a rivalry, and I'll get into that later about how that's a giant plus, but man, y'all aren't that special, to be honest. LSU, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, maybe even Auburn pulls more weight than Texas A&M. I mean A&M and Auburn are pretty even on the type of school they are. You know, they might get a good run every now and then, but for the most part, okay. So, there's a report that Texas and Oklahoma have been kicking the tires for the last few months on this potential move, and there's also a report that Texas A&M has been the one that's been leaking this information right now, and that Texas and OU were trying to keep this tight-lipped as much as possible and under the radar. So, man, how crazy would have that been if in 2 weeks we hadn't heard anything, but all of a sudden Texas and OU are joining the SEC conference. And then you got Jeff Ketchum talking to sources right now about Texas and OU possibly head to the SEC. There's definite fire, not smoke. And I mean, at this point, when there's this many people reporting on it, you can just go ahead and they are trying to get it done. Now, the SEC members, they can block it, but from SEC bylaws that were set in 2011, all they need is, I believe it's a fourth or a third. I'm not sure. I believe it's a fourth, right? But they need, right now, 4 schools to vote and say, we do not want them to join. If they have 4 schools say that, then Texas and OU can't join. Now, right now, it's rumored that Texas A&M and Missouri are both saying no. Texas A&M is going to be a hard no. Missouri, they're pretty realistic, and they realize that they don't have much pull, and neither does A&M, as far as keeping Texas and OU out of the conference. Because Texas and OU, they can bring a lot of money as far as viewership and all these other things, brand, sales, all that stuff, when it comes to applying it to the SEC. So, there's a lot to gain by adding Texas and Oklahoma. So, what does that mean for the 2021 season? Would Texas and Oklahoma be in there as soon as 2022? I think at the latest they would be in there as 2022. I'm not sure if they would be able to, as soon as right now, be able to just switch up all the conference games. I guess with the SEC playing all these, let's be honest, some FCS teams out there. It's not hard to say, hey, sorry, we just switched up the entire conference and we got to boot your game because we're playing it within the conference now. And in a situation for Alabama or Arkansas and Texas, well, they're already playing. And if we were to join, I'll go on this later, on next, we would be in the division with them. So there are ways that could work out, but I mean, I don't know how that would work if we were to leave now and join now. I also would have thought that would have happened a while back, like earlier in the spring. Now, but like I don't like with these things, and I wasn't really following too much when A&M and all them moved. I was pretty young and in high school. Wasn't really paying attention to all this stuff too much. Man, it just seems like when this stuff happens, it happens and it's done. It's like a breakup. You don't see it coming, but when it happens, it's just the cord's cut. And like a breakup, this is very similar. I mean, if we were to play the 2021 season in the Big 12, after it's been announced that we're planning to leave the Big 12, man, that's a pretty awkward season. That's like breaking up with your wife and still sleeping in the same bed as her. Trying to pretend like everything's all normal. So what would the new conference look like? The rumor right now is that Alabama and Auburn would be moved over to the East Division, making it Alabama, Auburn, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Missouri, South Carolina, Tennessee, Vanderbilt. I believe Missouri would move over. So let me read it. Alabama, Auburn, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, South Carolina, Tennessee, Vanderbilt. That's 8. That's half the teams. And then Texas, OU, Missouri, Arkansas, LSU, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, A&M. And off the bat, man, I love the sound of that. One, really, there's not I don't know. They probably consider a rivalry with us. I don't consider a rivalry with them, but playing Missouri, that's like playing TCU and Baylor and Texas Tech. They're and Oklahoma State. I mean, they're a team that you got to watch out for, but when you're rolling, it's a trap game. Let's call it what it is. Playing Arkansas, I love the idea of playing Arkansas every year. LSU, playing them every year, having a home and home every single year, going to Death Valley in Austin, Texas. After the game that they had here, I want to go to Death Valley and I want to win. I want Texas to win in Death Valley. Getting the game going back with Texas A&M. I love Thanksgiving dinner. Eating Thanksgiving dinner and serving a bunch of humble pie to all my Aggie family members who just talked relentless amounts of crap to me all throughout the day. So that would be a great plus. And then Oklahoma as well. I mean, you're talking 4 games are rivalry games. like legit right. This isn't Baylor and Texas. This isn't Texas and Texas Tech. This isn't Texas and TCU. This is Texas and LSU. Texas and Arkansas. Now I get Arkansas hasn't been great recently, but still the history is there. I mean, there's probably more hatred, at least on the Arkansas side there is, than there exists on any of between Texas and OU. And that says a lot. I mean, right now all we have is the OU game. And the idea of I'm a first-time season ticket holder, and the idea of having season tickets and getting to see any one of these any handful of these games between Arkansas, LSU, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, OU. And OU should definitely Red River never move that. But oh man, I'd love it. I'd love it. So, and then how does this affect the non-conference schedule? For Texas, it shouldn't have too much of an effect. If I'm not mistaken, I'm looking up right here. Because most of our non-conference schedules are against SEC teams. So, looking at 2022, I'll just go from 2022 and forward. 2022, Alabama. 23, Alabama. 24, Michigan. 25, Ohio State. 26, Ohio State. 27, Michigan. So a 4-year stretch, no SEC teams. And then Georgia, Florida. So, I mean, in the next 10 years, 6 of our opponents are our non-conference opponents are SEC teams, and that's something that could merge very well in with the SEC schedule. So, I mean, man, I'm excited. Conference realignment on the horizon, maybe. It sure looks like it. If you want to laugh, go to College Football Reddit. Reddit CFB on Twitter, and man, the I don't know if you know what a meme is, but sure everybody knows. Every single one of my viewers knows what a meme is. The memes are they're hilarious. Get some good laughs. Be able, as long as you're able to laugh at yourself sometimes, I mean, it's just great going on, but. To wrap it up, Texas joining the SEC, OU joining the SEC, Texas A&M losing their minds. I'll see y'all later. Hook 'em. Oh, and before I go, little Steve Sarkisian back in the SEC.